in West Palm. We're seeing a cold front that has been pressing down through portions of the state of Florida at this time, but most of the southeast is in the clear. We're looking at dry, crystal clear skies as we go through the day, and it looks like we'll continue to see drying conditions going through the next about day and a half.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your story across the Midwest for us, weather-wise. We got some rain, wintry mix out to the east through the Great Lakes. That's going to be moving out of here by tomorrow. Temperatures warming up for most of the Midwest. And we're still seeing some warmer temperatures as we head into Friday. It does cool down a little bit for the Dakotas. However, most of the Midwest.
Now, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, testing. What camera are we going to point over here? Right now on the National Weather Desk, how low will it go? Frigid temperatures are right now on the National Weather Desk. How low will it go? Frigid temperatures across the south this morning.
We're under another freeze warning.
Powerful winds whip up waves on Lake Michigan, while wind and snow take down trees in Indiana.
Shocking to see the amount of damage that a little snow can do in October.
See the community that's come up with a plan to get local streets plowed sooner than before.
We're optimistic that this will provide a significant dent in that neighborhood residential issue.
Extreme and violent weather is taking a toll on the nation's classrooms. Are children being left behind?
Losing that school it's probably what I've cried about the most.
But we aren't forgetting autumn. The U.S. Forest Service tells us the best places you can still catch those amazing fall colors.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Once again, the big weather story is the record-breaking cold. It's moving down from the Midwest all the way south. And take a look at this map. These are the freeze warnings this morning across the deep south, from Oklahoma to North Carolina, including Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Even portions of northern Florida this morning are under a frost advisory. And check out some of the overnight temperatures. 37 degrees in Atlanta, 34 in Little Rock, 36 degrees in Nashville, and 33 degrees in Birmingham. Even Jackson, Mississippi, starting out at 33 degrees. Certainly a cold morning in the South. So what is behind this October freeze? Well, it is linked to our current weather pattern. It's giving tens of millions, even those in the deep south, a taste of early winter. And this pattern is being driven by this, and that is the jet stream. Now, that's where roughly airplanes fly. Think of the jet stream as a river of strong winds found way up high in the mid and high levels of the atmosphere. This river of air flows from west to east across the country, and it separates the different types of air, with cold on the north side and warm air down on the south side of the system. So across the east, it's that dividing line, and that's been equating to a whole lot of cold for the east because it's way south here. Now, the jet stream doesn't typically make it this far south so early in the year. Luckily for us, it's not going to be sticking around because we're going to see a pattern change, basically a flip-flop in the jet stream where the warm air is going to make its way to the east. Notice how high that jet stream is riding over the east and replacing it with the cold air that'll be setting up in the west for next week. Now, let's check in with some of the reporters down south. We'll head to Macon, Georgia now in a moment, but first, Sydney Snow has more out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, we're waking up cold here in Nashville for the second morning in the row. The last 2 days have really been the coldest air that we've seen all season. We're under another freeze warning. But the good news is here in Metro Nashville, temperatures are a little bit better than what we're seeing outside of the area. Still around 32 degrees. But good news is people are waking up and they don't have to do too much extra work to get to work or school in the morning. You can see here cars aren't covered with frost. However, I can tell you that is not the case in some of our other rural areas. They have some frost that they have to clean off, also have some frost on their vegetation in the area as well. So definitely a little different than we're used to here in Nashville. We do know that the Metro City government here actually opened up their extreme cold shelters, and we know that's been utilized over the last 2 days with over 100 people seeking shelter from these elements. Good news is, though, we're warming up a little bit later in the week, but just have to get through these next 2 mornings. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Sydney Snow.
Very cold temperatures here in Middle Georgia, and we're used to the up and down, but I think it's about time to start pulling out the real coats and jackets. I have on 2 of them right now. Gary, please tell us that things aren't going to get any cooler out here.
Well, Brittany, you're right. We are waking up some very chilly temperatures here in Middle Georgia this morning. We are in the 30s, about to possibly break a record low for this date here this morning. And you know, normally we don't get quite this cold this early in the season. Now, yesterday here in Macon, we had a high of 60 degrees. The average high is 78. So you can see how far off the average we was. And then the day before that, we had 83 degrees for a high temperature. Wow. So, wow, the cold air has really moved into Middle Georgia.
Let's turn our attention to the storm that brought snow and high winds Monday night into Tuesday. Gaylord is in northern Michigan, and it was one of the first places to see snow. Snow was falling on and off yesterday. They saw up to 3 inches of snow. And you can see those footprints on the downtown sidewalks. Other spots are a bit wetter and slushier. And while some places saw snow, others had to deal with high winds and huge waves. This is Clinch Park Break Wall in Traverse City. It's located on one of Lake Michigan's bays. Wind speeds at the park were upwards of 20 miles per hour. The scene was similar on the east side of Grand Traverse with non-stop waves. Other parts of northern Michigan saw 40-mile-per-hour winds. Thousands of people lost power. Now let's head on to the southern portion of Lake Michigan and check out the waves at St. Joseph's Lighthouse. That's still in Michigan, about 25 miles north of the Indiana border. The lighthouse is situated on a pier that juts out of the lake, exposing it to really strong winds and those massive waves that you see. Winds are much calmer there this morning. By the way, this is just one of 330 lighthouses along the shores of the 5 Great Lakes. In Indiana, the rare October snow brought down trees and power lines that led to power outages. We head now south to South Bend, Indiana, where Erica Finke has more on the cleanup.
Rain, snow, and wind all causing chaos in mid-October, with fallen trees narrowly missing homes, snow covering the ground, and for Sarah Wright in Syracuse, a live power line down on her property. She noticed Mother Nature's mess starting as she came home from work Monday night.
And it was just nonstop for quite a long time, just branches falling, and the transformer out back blew repeatedly.
Come daylight, she had a live power line down on her car and large branches littering her front yard. Wright and certain neighbors surprisingly didn't lose power.
It flickered on and off. We had actually one of our trees that was catching on fire on the power lines, and then a tree fell down over there and one down the road caught fire.
At its peak, nearly 9,000 homes were without power, and crews have been working hard to get it back.
Shocking to see the amount of damage that a little snow can do in October.
And check out some of these impressive snow totals from yesterday. 18 inches in both National Mine, Michigan and Guile, Wisconsin. Both cities are close to Lake Superior. Many other communities saw up to 14 inches of snow. Well, if you live where it snows, the most important question, if you ask every storm, is when is my street going to get plowed? It's an issue facing cities across the country. This morning, one city in Ohio has plans to get more plows on the road. Let's go to Columbus, Ohio, where Tom Bosco explains.
The autumn leaves still dance in the streets, but soon winter will be upon us. Morris Mannering and his dog Nacho are taking a brisk walk along German village streets, many of which are priority 3, the last streets to get plowed. Morris says a lot of drivers get stuck in the winter.
We'll run out and push their cars out, or we'll try and dig out their front tires. It happens about once a year or twice a year.
Now the city says it's got a plan to get to those priority 3 streets sooner. It plans to borrow workers from other departments and put them in plow trucks.
We're using folks that don't have commercial driver's licenses to drive small trucks, not the large truck you see behind me, but regular pickup trucks.
Scott Torville with the city says that plan would kick in if the city gets 4 inches of snow or more, and it could add up to 15 to 30 plows to the 55 that usually roam the streets in a storm.
But we're optimistic that this will provide a significant dent in that neighborhood residential issue.
Morris Mannering is hopeful the plan will work.
Well, good luck. Sure, I hope so, but I'll believe it when I see it.
In the meantime, Franklin County officials say they are ready as well.
We started prepping all the way back in July.
While other industries are facing hiring issues, Franklin County has all the drivers it needs and then some.
25 routes that requires 50 drivers, and we do have extras and substitution drivers for this year's services.
Well, the nation's cold snap seems to have this sunflower feeling down. Look carefully, and you can see why. Right there on top, snow and ice from last night's snowstorm in South Bend, Indiana. Meteorologist James Parrish, he took this photo at home and he posted it on his Facebook page. He, along with other 200 meteorologists, post great content like this every single day. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we find out why. What you want to know about fall foliage, some of the best places to see those leaves. And it's been more than 3 weeks since Hurricane Ian struck Florida. We find out why some classrooms still aren't open. As we head to break, your weather wit, what is grapple? The answer when we return.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. Temperatures are all over the place in the Northeast today. We should get highs in the 50s and low 60s over far eastern areas. Those of you back into New York, especially western New York, you'll have a hard time getting out of the 40s. What's happening here? Big upper low that is spinning over the Great Lakes. That is bringing rain showers and even snow showers out towards Buffalo. But for a large portion of New England, we'll enjoy a lot of sunshine. And temperatures will top out in the mid to upper 50s. Enjoy.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. A cold start, temperatures in the 30s and 40s, even some frost and freeze conditions to begin. As we work our way through lunchtime, notice some of these sprinkles and even some of these flurries trying to push east. Maybe northern Maryland, West Virginia, extreme northern Virginia, highest terrain. There could be a couple of sprinkles and maybe a flake or two as a spinning storm system spins away off to the north. Temperature is going to be on the chilly side, 50s to near 60. That's a scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Looking at those southeast temperatures for highs, we're looking at Atlanta about 60 degrees, as well as Raleigh, Charleston 64. Mobile about 66 degrees, Nashville 59. So cool temperatures stretching all the way down to Florida, only in the mid-70s in West Palm. We're seeing a cold front that has been pressing down through portions of the state of Florida at this time, but most of the southeast is in the clear. We're looking at dry, crystal clear skies as we go through the day, and it looks like we'll continue to see drying conditions going through the next about day and a half.
All right, here we go with your weather wit. Before the break, I asked, what is grapple? The answer? Snow pellets or soft hail. They form when super cooled water droplets collect on a snowflake. And here is an example of grapple. This was captured in parts of the Midwest earlier this week ahead of the cold snap that's gripped a large chunk of the eastern half of the country. All right, now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We start out in Covington, Kentucky, where you're looking at some clouds this morning, but it will turn mostly sunny. The high temperature of 53 degrees, then a cold overnight with temperatures that are going to drop down to 27 degrees. And a shot now of D.C. with partly cloudy skies. There's Iwo Jima Memorial. You can see a slight wind. It'll be breezy, 56 the high. And heading south now to Macon, Georgia, where they have clear skies. Afternoon temperature today of 65. That is one pretty blue sky. But it's going to get cold tonight in Macon, where the lows are going to head down to freezing and possible frost. And then Centerville, Ohio, we head back up to the north with a shot of the Appanoose County Courthouse here. They've got some clear skies as well. Clouds develop during the afternoon, and they'll top out around 50 degrees there. Beautiful skies everywhere. Well, speaking of beautiful, fall foliage is past peak in parts of the northeast, but much of the country still has a lot of great viewing. Emily Gracie spoke with Kevin Smith from the Forest Service to find out where the best colors can still be found and what you should plan before you go leaf hunting.
There are experts who will be able to tell you, yes, today you should go to XYZ. I guess what I'm interested in is more that joy of discovery. We don't need to be led by the hand necessarily to enjoy what nature provides.
Are there other kind of hidden gems around the country where you can get some great colors as well?
In California, the Eastern Sierra, certainly poplars, the gold poplar and aspen on a maybe a more trodden trail, but the Big Sur Coastal Highway has perfectly good foliage. In the southeast U.S., Black Rock Mountain State Park has got a lot of sour wood happening, and that's also a bright red. In the Midwest, Gibraltar Rock State Natural Area in Wisconsin.
Do you have a personal favorite spot? If you were going to go anywhere at any point in the season, where would you go?
Devil's Hop Yard Park in Connecticut, in or near East Haddam, Connecticut, has a great combination of species, topographic relief, and is also near large population centers as well. It's a joy of self-discovery, which is what I'm all about with this. So it's there are places like the Kankomagus Highway in New Hampshire that are sort of famed destinations for fall foliage. They're wonderful, but any little road with any sort of topographic relief in the areas where these hardwood trees grow can produce amazing sights.
Wanted to remind those fall foliage fans that this is just one little part of the year, that we should use this season as our passport to enjoy the trees and nature year-round. Good advice. Well, the Treasury Department is going to assess how extreme weather increases insurance rates. Officials say they're taking a hard look at how climate-related disasters are driving up those rates. This is the first time the department is using its authority to ask insurance companies for that type of data. Even before Ian slammed into Florida, homeowners there were paying, get this, 3 times the national average for their insurance premiums. Well, extreme weather events wreak havoc on your homes, our businesses, and they do damage to schools as well. For example, in Lee County, Florida, 3 badly damaged school districts are still closed weeks after Hurricane Ian passed through the state. As Renee Marsh explains, this is just one example of how climate crisis is impacting our education system.
My goodness gracious.
Melissa Wright sees the destruction at her 10-year-old son Zane's school for the first time.
That's the sign he stands in for the first day of school every year.
Fort Myers Beach Elementary is 1 block from the ocean. Hurricane Ian's powerful winds tore down walls, and its storm surge approached the top of the school doors, destroying nearly everything inside.
Losing that school it's probably what I've cried about the most.
It's been more than 2 weeks, and the entire Lee County School District remains shut down.
We do have schools that remain in a high needs category, suffering significant damage.
He already said this year was tougher for him than most, so I am worried about him falling behind.
Lee County schools are emblematic of a growing trend, the climate crisis disrupting school systems nationwide for months and in some cases years. In California, wildfires have been the leading cause of school closures. From 2018 to 2019, a record 2,295 schools closed. Last year in Louisiana, Hurricane Ida, a devastating Category 4 storm, ripped off roofs and destroyed schools. More than a year later, 2 schools for close to 900 students are still inoperable. And in Tennessee, 17 inches of rain fell in 24 hours, flooding Waverly Elementary and Junior High School. More than a year later, some students are using an auditorium with partitions for classrooms. A government study found that since 2017, more than 300 presidentially declared major disasters have occurred across all 50 states and U.S. territories, with devastating effects on K-12 schools, including trauma and mental health issues, lost instructional time, and financial strain, something Waverly, Tennessee schools know well. After the flood there, students' test scores lagged behind the rest of the state.
Some of our staff and teachers lost their homes, they lost their loved ones, they lost, and their classrooms. So mentally wise, that has put a toll on them.
As schools struggle to recuperate from extreme weather, experts say they must better understand their future risk and rebuild more resilient structures.
Our public schools right now, they received a D+ on America's infrastructure report card.
Wow. Until then, when extreme weather strikes, all that is lost will undoubtedly also include quality instructional time in school.
Good point. Well, dogs have long been known as mankind's best friend, but did you know that some of your dog's heightened senses can help foretell whether or not you'll need your umbrella? Let's go to Seattle, where meteorologist Theron Zahn has more.
Did you know that your dog's behavior can actually predict a change in the weather? Dogs can sense a change in barometric pressure of an approaching storm. That's why sometimes, before any kind of sign of a storm happens, dogs seem to want to go inside. Also, dogs' noses can also sense changes in smell when the barometric pressure changes, so they know there's trouble brewing. So next time your dog is acting funny, you may be an approaching storm.
Some video here of a humpback whale. You may have seen this on social. So some people wondered if the video was real or fake. I'm here to tell you this is real. A father and son were fishing off the New Jersey coast when this humpback whale gave them a surprise of their lives. Now, no one was hurt, and they got a memory of a lifetime. That is huge. All right, now a look back on this day in weather history. The year 1844, when the lower Great Lakes storm occurred. Hurricane-force winds pounded Buffalo, New York for more than 5 hours. High winds drove that lake water into downtown Buffalo, resulting in the drowning deaths of more than 200 people.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your story across the Midwest for us, weather-wise. We got some rain, wintry mix out to the east through the Great Lakes. That's going to be moving out of here by tomorrow. Temperatures warming up for most of the Midwest. And we're still seeing some warmer temperatures as we head into Friday. It does cool down a little bit for the Dakotas. However, most of the Midwest will be staying pretty dry as we go through the next few days.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. It is one of the chilliest mornings so far. Into the 30s back from Arkansas all the way down into the 50s deep into South Texas. During the rest of the day, we're going to have plenty of sunshine. We'll see a little bit of a warm front cut across from Texas into Oklahoma. But for the most part, temperatures are going to be warming up to fall-like regions again today. We'll be seeing 70s and 60s for the most part. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there and a good Wednesday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Hard to believe we're at the 19th of October and we're seeing readings like this from Seattle to San Diego. 92 there in Southern California. Even in Missoula, Montana, 73, 76 out of the Rockies there out of Denver, still nearly 90 in Phoenix and back into Vegas, too. Big ridge of high pressure ruling things over the west for now. That will change, however, this weekend. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
This herd of deer was spotted near the waves and along the shore in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Tuesday. Meteorologist Ed Piotrowski says the dune erosion due to Hurricane Ian made it a more difficult task for them to move inland. But it looks like they prevailed, an example of Ian's impacts not only to humans, but to wildlife as well.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
It's time to highlight some of the content you send to our meteorologists and what we see on our Chime In platform that you can find on this station's website. So these are fall colors that were taken during a drive in Ohio's Hocking Hills State Park, which is southeast of Columbus. And humans aren't the only ones who love the weather. Check out this kitty. Busy Lizzie is checking in with meteorologist Justin Chambers for the day's forecast. And now the serene looking sunset here over Guntersville Lake, which is in northern Alabama. Oh, that is so pretty. We'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search the National Weather Desk, and we'll be right back. Thanks so much for sharing your morning with the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Tomorrow we explain how to stay safe while driving on wet leaves. Make it a fabulous Wednesday and keep your eye on the sky.